And I believe that means we're live. So, on that note...
We're twitching.
We are officially twitching. The good kind of twitching, of course, not the distracting kind. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Awesome Hardware, episode 31. It is the 22nd of September, 2015. I know what year it is. And I'm Kyle, joined by my co-host, Paul.
I'm Paul.
He is Paul. And this is my half of the show. We're going to do a little bit of a few segments, get those out of the way, and then we're going to hop over to part 2 on Paul's half. This is going to remain on twitch.tv/awesomehardware. If you're joining us on YouTube, go ahead and check us out 5:30 p.m. every Tuesday, live on twitch.tv/awesomehardware. We do live streams like the one you're watching now, except it'll be live instead of in the past. So go ahead and check that out.
People are claiming you're drunk already, Kyle.
Yeah, you know, well, that's usually what happens when any innocent person wanders into Paul's house.
When we
takes complete advantage of them, and they really stand no chance. But we've got a good show for you guys today. We're going to start off with a few announcements. The first of which is we've got merchandise. Paul and I sell stuff. It's how we are able to support our channels, how you can support our channels as well. And I actually have a new shirt that is on the Awesome Sauce merch store that you can purchase right now. It actually just went live yesterday, I think.
It's such a forward-looking shirt. It's so optimistic.
It's very forward-looking. I wanted to be optimistic on this one. Got a few complaints on the CPU cooler shirt for reasons unknown. I guess it was too aggressive for some folks, but hey, you really can't go wrong with a good old stay positive. You know, also bringing home that positive air pressure mantra home. So guys, go ahead and check it out. It is a very nice vintage tri-blend shirt. Paul sells some of these on his site, I believe, as well. But these are brand new, like seriously fresh in stock. If they do well enough, I will probably restock them. So if they sell out, don't be too concerned, but you will get a very loud, proud Johnson shout-out from me if you happen to buy one of those, or any shirt, for that matter, from my store today during this live stream, as well as Paul's store. He's got a bunch of stuff as well on his store, including shirts, mugs, glasses, all that kind of good stuff. We are going to be doing a hoodie sale. I don't think it's quite active just yet, but if you were thinking about, you know, maybe pulling the trigger on one of our hoodies, we are going to be giving you guys a fair discount on those, so hold off on those. Go ahead and buy a t-shirt or a Paul or a Paul. Go ahead and buy a Paul from Mug. Mug sells really great Pauls. Go ahead and buy some of that stuff. And if you happen to buy something from both of our stores in this show, during the show, you will get a double Johnson shout out from both of us. With these really nice high quality monoprice microphones, you'll be able to hear that Johnson with unprecedented fidelity. I almost said infidelity.
So we should clarify that. Yeah. We are using some new audio hardware today. We have these monoprice large diaphragm condenser microphones. We got the XLR version, so they're both going into the soundboard. And I am running the AC in the background, so you probably got some background noise going on. But I think these are going to do us. They're going to do us proud. Kyle's bringing his right down into the frame there.
I feel so much more professional with a P-pop filter in front of my microphone.
He's got his pop filter, and then we can lean in way close.
I sound like Frank Sinatra.
Hey everyone, and welcome to today's show. We have some lovely music planned for you this evening.
I think this means we need to start doing a podcast version of Awesome Hardware each week, Paul.
We should. We definitely should.
Definitely needs to happen. But, okay. Thank you again, Monoprice, for sponsoring us with this awesome audio setup. Very happy and excited to use these. Additionally, you might have seen a post. It was either a tweet or something I posted on my Instagram account earlier today that I actually managed to land us a beer sponsor for today's show, Paul.
Oh, you did?
Yes, actually, all the beer that we are drinking right now out of these beautiful glasses, this is the Sierra Nevada one, as well as a Paul's Hardware glass, very classy. These have all been sponsored and provided to us by One Stop Liquor. It's a really great little craft beer store that's actually down the street from my house. I walked in, I talked to the owner, Danny, and I was like, hey, look, we do this show every Tuesday, and we drink beer on it, and we really love drinking your beer. How about we work together? And the guy, Danny, was super cool. He was like, yes.
He's a man of few words.
Convincing. He's a man of few words, but a noble one nonetheless. So guys, go ahead and check them out. Paul and I are eternally grateful that we've actually got this opportunity for this episode. If Danny's satisfied with this advertisement, then we might get sponsored for more beer, which means more intoxication for us, which means more entertainment for you guys and more incriminating evidence against us in the future. So go ahead and check them out at One Stop Liquor, _stop_liquor on Instagram. Follow them. Yeah. Even if you're not in their area, if you're not in the city of La Habra, where they are, and you can't actually physically buy beer from them or any liquor.
You can at least see pictures of all the beer they have.
You can see pictures of all the good booze that they've got. I know a lot of you guys are beer enthusiasts, so go ahead and check them out.
Also Dodgers fans.
Also Dodgers fans. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Seriously great guys. So thank you guys once again. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I guess we should also do a quick
cheers
of the beer.
to the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And cheers to all of you. What are we drinking right now? We don't have the glasses.
I've got a Hofbrau.
This is Hofbrau.
It's a Hofbrau.
Hofbrau.
Yeah, it's Oktoberfest edition. Oktoberfest is coming up soon. Ooh. That's why we should
do
Oktoberfest beer.
An awesome hardware from Germany.
Oh boy. That will not be a sober episode.
We should totally plan that right now since it's September.
The wettest episode.
That's easily gonna happen. Or you can't. Let's save this. We have more beers, but we
save the.
We gotta call them out as we pour them.
All right, let's not get too carried away there. But thank you once again, One Stop Liquor, for sponsoring today's show. All right, and let's move on to our first segment, which is hot and heavy hardware. We're going to be talking about hardware. This is more of a heavy item than a hot one, because it's theoretically supposed to maintain its decent level of thermals.
On this segment, we mainly focus on hardware that has poor thermal dissipation. Also, it's
got to be heavy.
Yeah, it's got a minimum weight.
It's got to be kind of heavy.
30 kilograms.
Yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't make the cut.
We've never clarified that about this segment before.
You'll see no Chromecasts on this segment. We got the Asus Maximus 8 Extreme. They're getting so high up there with the Roman numerals. I'm gonna have to restudy, you know, what they mean pretty soon, because I only can count up to like so high with Roman numerals. But Maximus 8 Extreme, extended ATX for the Z170 chipset. Hey, it's big. A lot of cases, a lot of ATX cases won't claim support for EATX, but they do.
EATX is all about the girth.
It's all about the girth, as Paul knows a vast amount of, has a vast amount of experience with
vast girth.
That's right. Paul's EATX himself. He's an EATX man. So this is really catered, obviously, towards overclockers and gamers alike. It features their Asus's OC Panel 2. I've never used any of their OC panels. I've owned maybe like one or two.
I've only used them during like hardware demos.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Or like when JJ brought a system over that had it set up right. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm already good to go. But beyond that, I really don't have too much experience. Yeah, I've heard. Even if it's just for monitoring, you know, you want to just get a nice quick readout of all your values at a glance. Not too bad. So DDR4, of course, they've opted for the slightly faster form factor there at 3866 megahertz, up to supported speeds of that. 4 PCIe 3x16 slots, so you can probably do. I would guess maybe 3-way SLI and 4-way crossfire or something like that.
That's probably 4-way. I mean,
both ways.
Yeah, for the M8E, if it's not 4-way, that makes no sense because usually this is like top end. And if they've gone and added a PLX bridge in there to give more lanes,
right? I
can't see it being anything other than 4-way compatible.
Yeah, for both AMD and NVIDIA users.
Look at that M.2 slot.
And U.2.
And yeah, that's cool. Cell was actually pointing that out in chat just a second ago. U.2 is this little mini SAS slot down here in the bottom corner, and it's on their native, so you don't have to use an adapter in the M.2 slot, which is it's pretty smart. It's just funny because like those boards didn't exist. I mean that little adapter thing that they set up didn't exist when a lot of the like X99 boards in the first round of Z170 came out. Yeah, the HyperKit.
Right.
Also, this M.2 slot goes up to like 200 millimeters. That's I don't know what the longest M.2 form factor is.
The Z170 Deluxe that I just checked out from them has the exact same compatibility.
Oh, okay.
And it's like as you can see, it's like half the motherboard. It's like I've never even seen an M.2 that long.
That's pretty awesome.
But it's all about compatibility with Asus, and clearly you can pretty much fit any piece of hardware in here to a certain degree. It's got 4 USB 3.1, one of which is Type-C. I really can't. I'm really looking forward to Type-C connector drives.
Oh yeah.
USB 3.1, because I mean, we've got motherboards now that can support it. I just want to see, you know, like companies like WD step up to the plate and start making more of those drives.
Couldn't agree more.
Available. Pricing and availability is unknown. What's the most you'd ever pay for a motherboard?
What's the most I would ever pay for a motherboard? That is a good question, Kyle. In fact, that's a question I would suggest you put in a straw poll and post in chat right now.
All right, let me do that right now.
So that people could...
Boom. I just did it in that.
Actually, I did that.
In those 2 seconds
Kyle was pretending that was me. I did the work and I deserve the credit here.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so answer this straw poll. We'll come back to it in just a minute. What's the most you'd pay for a motherboard? That's a good question.
It is.
It's a very good question.
It is. Because I'm always curious, because there is that, you know, once you get to like the top tier, I'd say like past $250, a lot of people consider those features, those little add-ons, superfluous.
Yeah.
And they're like, I would never that's just my cap. You know, once I go 200, 250, it's like I really see diminishing law of diminishing returns, and I can't justify paying more than that. Other people are like, yeah, I want that extra functionality. Motherboard's one of the most important parts, and I'd easily pay $300, $350 for a good one.
All right.
So I'm curious to see what you guys think.
I'll give my answer when we come back to this in just a moment.
Me too.
You just gave your answer.
I did?
Yes, you did.
What did I say?
You said like 250.
No, I was speaking in third person on behalf of a hypothetical viewer.
Oh, so you're just putting words in the mouth of our audience then?
I'm sure at least one of them that applies to.
You're right, it probably does. Kyle said that for you.
I did. But you should still vote.
Sexy viewer at home. Okay.
I chose you. Next up, we've got
this?
the HDPLEX H5 fanless chassis. Have you seen this yet?
I'm not a fan.
Cue mixing board.
Did I mention I was hanging out with Logan all weekend?
And you guys are just being punny as hell?
So any puns that I throw out are completely involuntary. It just happens.
So basically, you're just blaming Logan for all of your antics.
Pretty much.
That sounds fair enough. So basically, the cool thing about this is that it's actually for, decently robust systems, because it can fit ATX motherboards, but not only that, it can actually support 95-watt TDP CPUs.
Okay.
So, I don't know, like current gen Skylake stuff, unlocked SKUs. You can overclock with this case, even though it's completely fanless, and that includes no fan for the CPU or the GPU. It just has 16 heat pipes, 8 of which go to the CPU, the other 8 go to the GPU. GPU is obviously optional, but the cooling system additionally, in addition to the copper heat pipes, it's got ridiculous amounts of heatsink support. So you can see all those heat sinks that are on there. You can see that giant copper one that's on the, if you go up, yeah, right there, that's on the video card, just on the PCB. They've completely removed the aftermarket cooler and slapped one of those on there. So I believe that's part of the case.
Yeah.
It comes with these...
and they feed out into like the side of the case, and the side of the case kind of acts as another big heat sink to dissipate more heat.
Yeah, so this kind of caught my eye. It might be good for living room situations or other situations when you're like doing really high fidelity recording and you need absolute silence in the room, but you need a computer obviously to operate the equipment.
Yes, indeed.
That might be kind of cool. Or if you're in the living room, again, you're watching movies, really quiet scenes, maybe you're into dramas where there's not much action noise, ambient noise, and you just want zero ambient noise coming from your home theater PC or something like that. Not a bad option. The fact that it can support 95-watt TDP CPUs and high-end GPUs, I like that. The front I/O is actually not on the front; it's on the back. I guess they wanted to preserve a kind of stealth aesthetic to it. But it does have 2 USB 3 on the back, 2 USB 2, a 3.5mm speaker jack, which tells me since it's not a dual jack for mic and headphone, it looks like it's just for speakers or headphones. It probably is catered towards the home theater PC crowd.
Sometimes they make them a combo jack, but
yeah. But that's a good point. It didn't specify whether or not it was, but there is a power LED at the front of the case that can also be disabled. So really, just based on that and the fact that it's fanless is really telling me that they're trying to make this like a really stealthy case.
Yeah.
Like they don't want you to know that the computer's actually there. It's just under the radar. It flies under the radar. There's no LED, no indication that it's on. You wouldn't even know it exists.
Like a ninja case.
It's a ninja case. That's exactly right, Paul. What I would like to see is a mini ITX version of this, especially if this is catered, this is like this idea, this concept is perfect for a home theater PC. I don't necessarily want to throw in a full ATX motherboard because I'm not going to need all the support for all the extra I/O or for the extra PCIe lanes. I might just put one small or steady graphics card in there, or maybe no graphics card at all. I just use an APU or something like that. And I'm not necessarily going to want to take up so big of a footprint with a full ATX case.
Is there anything about graphics card support, or what are you? Because
that's one thing they left out was the length of supported graphics cards.
Yeah, length, and I would say because you're using a very specific custom implementation for cooling the GPU. Yeah. So you got to have your GPU in the right position in order for those heat pipes and the block to line up. So that'd be a question of like what GPUs are going to be compatible with this as well. Right. But,
that's true.
So that's pretty sweet.
That's a good point. It might come with an assortment of different heat sinks for various GPUs too, and I would hope it does. I would hope that it does support a wide range of different video cards because the price isn't exactly, competitive. It's anywhere between $200 to $300.
They haven't decided yet?
They haven't decided, but it's going to be somewhere below $300, and it's available later this week. But this was a Hexus article, I think, so they're talking UK. I don't know if that applies to the US as well, but definitely something to keep your eye on.
Cool.
So, rounding
HDPLEX.
off that article, why don't we take a look at our straw poll results for the motherboard question, where I asked, what is the most you'd ever pay for a gosh darn motherboard?
Results.
What did we get? 200.
All right. Looks like 200 is kind of the point to go with.
I speak for the masses.
Second in line is 350.
Which surprises
now,
me.
But we're asking the most. What is the most? And I'll say, like, going back to like the X58 days is when the last one I spent like a ton of money on of my own cash on a motherboard, and they were like $300 minimum back then. So I will say the allure of the highest end platform from Intel, and let's say in a perfect world, AMD also had like some high-end Zen thing or something that was also the same. I could see myself spending 300-ish. Maybe going up to that 350 point if it was like, oh, I need that because it's got my color scheme and this feature and blah blah. But yeah, I mean, I'll agree. Like the really high end motherboards, especially the ones that like are like the Gigabyte one that we've shown in some of our sponsor spots here, the G1 Gaming, which is like $500, and it's like it's so special. The few people who will make use of all of those extra features on that board. So yeah, those, when you get really high end, is either you're looking at a prestige piece or you're looking at something that, I mean, if you really do exotic cooling, if you get into that, if you do phase change, or if you do LN2 or anything like that, then those boards start to make sense because the extra stuff that they put in there for like cold boots and stuff like that are actually helpful.
Yeah.
But,
or if you're like a bleeding edge, you know, maybe you're like a post-production house. You're a business. You're not just one dude that has a weekly allowance, but you're actually a business who's going to write this off as a business expense, and you are going to be taking advantage of most of the technology that are being supported by this motherboard. You know, something like that I could see.
I felt tall.
I felt short. You've been making me feel short all this time.
Your chair is shorter than mine.
See, I'm not as short as people say.
There we go.
Actually, I am.
All right, cool. Well, hey, any of our motherboard manufacturer friends who might be watching, this is how much money our viewers are possibly interested in paying for motherboards. But yeah, 200. I think that $200 price point right there. Well, the 350 jumped up actually as we were speaking, and surpassed the $200 price point. But yeah, but again, that's top end. But yeah, $200 I think is a good price for like a good system. Yeah. You're not holding back too far on the budget.
Right.
$200 you can get pretty much everything you would need.
Yeah.
And
you can still get a decent overclock with a $200.
Even on X99 actually.
Yeah.
These days, which is cool. There's been some much more reasonably priced X99 boards out there.
It's also because it's been out for a while now, so we're starting to see.
Yep.
More competitive prices.
All right, so Corsair's new graphics card.
Yes, and not just what? Wait, what? What?
Sorry,
that threw me off, and it's my article.
Oh.
It's a mashup of Corsair and MSI. It's a collaboration that they've been working on for quite some time now. It's their GTX 980 Ti Seahawk.
So see, that's because Corsair and MSI, both based in Seattle, big Seahawks fan.
I don't know if that's what that means, Paul.
Go Hawks.
I think what it is you know, Corsair's in the liquid cooler, so it's like liquid from the sea.
Oh, okay.
And then MSI they're like dragons, but those are basically like hawks are descendants of dragons. So you get Seahawk. It's like the perfect.
We learned that in Jurassic Park.
That's right.
Dragons eventually evolved into hawks and other avian.
You know, Jurassic Park was actually a documentary.
It was.
Yeah.
About dragons.
And MSI.
What the hell are we talking about?
I don't know. Anyway. This is a pretty interesting looking, I think maybe one of the first, maybe the second water-cooled hybrid AIO type GTX 980 Ti that we've seen. It's featuring the H55 from Corsair, very well-known, popular 120mm radiator AIO cooler. So they're basically implementing the same type of high-speed pump as well as the aluminum fin stack on the radiator onto a freaking 980 Ti. Which is cool. So literally, it is very cool. It's supposed to stay like 10 degrees cooler, 10 to 15 degrees cooler, which I guess is going to give you a little bit more overclocking headroom in the long run. You probably won't be able to push it insanely past the, you know, like an Asus Strix version of the card or whatever, but you are going to be able to push the temperatures way down. Also, there's a blower style fan, if you'll notice, on the card itself. So not only do you have the 120mm fan on the radiator, but you also have this blower style fan that's a bit more reference looking, I would say, but that's basically just to cool the rest of the components on the board, such as the VRM, power delivery, chokes, and MOSFETs, and capacitors.
And that's probably going to be able to run at a pretty low RPM.
Exactly. Because you're not actually having to take care of the GPU as well, that's all being handled by the liquid cooler. You can actually spin that blower style fan, like Paul said, much slower, which reduces the acoustic levels as well.
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of your notes or anything, but there's 2 retail boxes down here at the bottom.
Yes, you are jumping ahead. That's okay.
All right.
Go ahead and point it out, Paul.
All right.
What's up here?
So you can buy this from Corsair as the Hydrographics or Hydrographics.
There's no way in hell that stands for graphics.
Or you can buy it directly from MSI as the Seahawk. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there was some kind of miscommunication on both of the company's marketing teams.
No.
There couldn't be that.
That's not a that type of thing would not be a miscommunication. That would have to be an agreement that, they're collaborating together. And when you got 2 big companies like that are both coming together, it's like, who gets first billing, right? Is this the MSI graphics card featuring Corsair cooling? Is it the Corsair cooler making an MSI graphics card better? So this would be my guess as a compromise between the two.
Yeah.
Would it be either company can actually sell their own branded version of the card?
Exactly. Even
though it's the exact same thing inside. But I mean, it'd also be interesting. It would be a good question of whose customer service you want to deal with if you ever have to go through and RMA it back to the manufacturer.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I actually don't have too much experience with either of those companies' customer service because I usually just have a direct contact that I can thankfully go to in the event of failed hardware or something like that.
Must be nice, Kyle.
Must be nice. Hey,
must be nice.
Come on. You're on the same page with me. But definitely a cool, interesting concept. It's pretty simple, straightforward, immediate availability for $740 USD.
Oh,
how much is a 680 or a 980 Ti going for these days?
650.
650. So
is MSRP, and
so I don't know, a $90 premium for this. Only if you're a real stickler about thermals, I'd say.
Yeah. And
you're gaming quite frequently. If you're a hardcore gamer and you're a stickler about thermals, maybe you don't have the best airflow in your case.
Thermals and acoustics. I mean, I'm obviously curious to see some independent reviews that are listening closely to the pump noise and the fan noise from this. In theory, with a good the pump set to a reasonable RPM and a decent fan curve on it, this should be able to run much quieter than even like a triple fan array, because you got a lot more radiator space. You can use a 120mm fan on the rad. You've got extra cooling just specifically for the VRMs and everything. But all right, we should move on though.
Let's move on. Very cool stuff from Corsair. I mean MSI. I mean both of them. They're both equals in this article. Moving on to the Samsung 950 Pro M.2 SSD. This is quite exciting. The company's first NVMe SSD has been unveiled. It's going to be taking the form of an M.2 drive, also featuring Samsung's ever so lovely vertical NAND, or VNAND, which is a shift from planar to the vertical structure, where the NAND is actually stacked vertically, and Paul needs to open his beer, so I'm gonna give him that.
I was just gonna go silently and like a fox, and you weren't gonna notice. But
that was totally sneaky, and I didn't even notice you at all. Vertical structure for faster drives with more capacity and better reliability is what VNAND is good for. So that's cool. NVMe, seriously, like some of the fastest. It is like the fastest type of SSD on the market currently. You're getting sequential freaking reads up to 2,500 megabytes per second, and sequential writes of 1,500 megabytes per second. No big deal. Random reads, if you're interested in the random reads, you're going to be getting 300,000 IOPS, freaking A, and 110,000 IOPS random writes. This is just insane. It's only going to be offered in 2 capacities. I don't know if they're going to be updating that in the future, maybe going to larger ones or even smaller ones, but from the get-go, you're going to get 256 gig capacities. I can't talk right now.
You're too excited about these SSDs,
I'm really excited about these SSDs, because I really want to put one of them in my system. Because, you know why?
I want to
put one inside of myself.
Right up my butt. That's not your immediate first thought when you see these? No, it's not. It's not. We don't recommend that.
Paul's like, it's not mine either. I know you've got...
As I shift uncomfortably in my seat.
I know your butt supports M drives right there.
Look, you weren't here all day. You don't know what I did before the show started. So...
Known you long enough. So I didn't finish my thought really quick.
Finish your
256 gigabyte capacities for $200.
Ooh.
Right? Not bad. Or 512 gigabyte capacities for $350.
Oh.
Very competitively priced, I would say.
That's sexy.
Considering how fast these drives are, how much faster they are.
Sexy.
Again, they're PCIe Gen 3 by 4 speeds, so literally like cutting edge technology stuff. Great for editing. I really want to put one of these in Hotline because clearly Hotline doesn't already have enough freaking hardware just pouring out of its soul. Definitely needs a lot more storage than what it has currently. So, available beginning of October. What did you want to say, Paul?
I was just going to say there's kind of a like there's like three big things that we're seeing a transition or changeover for when it comes to storage right now. One is going to be the interface, switching from your SATA standard SATA plug to M.2 or U.2 now. That's also become a thing.
Right.
Basically going to the actual the PCI Express is what they're all feeding into. So
yes,
changing that PCI Express, and then also the switch from AHCI to NVMe.
Right.
Is a big changeover, and you need these are like the reasons why people upgrade even though their system's only a year or two old. Like,
yeah,
if you don't have NVMe support, you can't get NVMe support. You can't shoehorn it into an older board. But that's the only way you're going to get speeds like this. And it's great to see storage, traditionally one of the biggest bottlenecks in a system, making such leaps and bounds. And we've been definitely waiting for this for quite some time. And thank you Samsung for making them look sexy with black PCBs.
They are beautiful. Is the last thing I wanted to say about them.
Look at that. Black.
Hot damn.
Black. You're not gonna need to plastic dip these.
No, you won't.
You just stick them in there.
That's right.
Just stick it right in there.
And I might like mask off the Pro, and get rid of the red. I might spray paint the Pro right there. I'm totally joking. That'd be ridiculous. I'd never do that.
Maybe.
Moving on.
Might do that.
That's gonna conclude this segment of Hot and Heavy Hardware. Let's go ahead and move on to our next beautiful segment, which is, what is it, Paul?
I don't remember. Games Report, right?
I don't remember Games Report? Yes,
I don't remember the Games Report.
It's the Games Report.
The Games Report.
We talk about video games. There's a couple little quick bits that I wanted to hit off really quick. I'm not going to go too into detail
you're
with
already
them.
running way behind, by the way.
Okay, Hitman, delayed till March 2016. Sorry, guys. If you were expecting the original launch date of December 8th of this year, you are disappointed now because it's being pushed back.
Image on screen, a huge Hitman fan who just learned that news threw themselves out of a building or off the roof. Very sad. It's a very gruesome image to show at the top of an article. Why are we even showing this, Kyle?
He met his own Hitman.
I'm taking this off screen right
That's
now.
all. Next up, Minecraft builds Laputa from Castle in the Sky, which is a Ghibli studio film. If you guys are familiar with the likes of My Neighbor Totoro or Spirited Away, the same director, he made a movie called Castle in the Sky, also animated.
Most of the words you just said were nonsense words.
That's racist. That's racist, Paul. You should embrace every culture.
There was a lot of nonsense words you just said.
Those aren't nonsense words. Those are Japanese words.
There's Japanese.
They're people too.
Are they Japanese nonsense words though? Because Japanese are just they can make up a word. It's like like chalupa or something, right? Like you can make up words.
Chalupa means fat girl in Spanish.
That's slang.
Still means
and that probably became slang after Taco Bell came out with the actual. I want a chalupa right now.
That sounds pretty good. But
no, we'll have to wait for after the show.
Okay. So, if you guys are at all familiar with this franchise,
Laputa.
My wife, for one, is a huge Studio Ghibli fan. She's got the whole collection. She loves this movie, Castle in the Sky, where they have this. If you scroll up, you'll see the original animation image when it flashes. There it is. That's what it looks like in the movie, and that's what someone did in Minecraft. They basically replicated the castle in the sky from the very popular movie.
It's impressive.
Very impressive. I don't know any other information about it because I just wanted to share that with you. It looks very cool, and I'm sure it took a lot of time.
Just hundreds of hours.
Hundreds At least hundreds. I always want to, and it is, oh, I should probably give credit to the guy who did it.
You should.
Built by AddyBuddy. ADYBUDDY _ AddyBuddy. Not just AddyBuddy can do this type of work, Paul. Is really what I've come to realize. Moving on. Our next story in the games report is about an open world sci-fi horror game called P.A.M.E.L.A.
P.A.M.E.L.A. is an acronym, apparently.
Based on the life of porn star actress Pamela Anderson. This
Pamela Anderson
survival
was
horror
a legitimate actress in Baywatch and such classic films as... Wait, what's that movie she was in? Barbed Wire. She was in Barbed Wire.
Backdoor Barn Girls 3.
So what do we know about P.A.M.E.L.A. Trailer 2 Rebirth, Kyle?
Alright, so developer NVYVE, the most complicated developer name in history, describes this game as an open-world utopian survival horror. We've all been there, right? We know exactly what that entails. This is what one of those looks like, because it's a pretty unique and specific description of this game. It's featuring a massive city environment, so it is open world from malls to nightclubs. You can go into any of these areas and explore, essentially. It features a day and a night cycle, so very much like Dying Light. You know how Dying Light, it's like during the day you're kind of protected by the sunlight and you've got daylight and stuff, and when it comes nighttime, certain things change. More like aggressive zombies come out and try to kill you. It's got a cycle, so you want to try to do certain tasks during the day and other tasks you want to save for night. Same deal there. It also has a very unconventional weapon system. It does have some like rifles and guns and things like that, but you also get this kind of cool arm gadget that you can use to impale enemies on, or I think there might be upgrades probably. They didn't reveal too much in this trailer.
Kind of looks like a stingray.
Kind of looks like a stingray a little bit, but watch the trailer. It's actually really cool. And did you notice how pretty it looks, Paul? No. It's a very pretty looking game. Paul doesn't pick up on these things.
I was trying to think of a pun to respond to your most recent pun, and I didn't. I came up with nothing.
that's all you've been doing for the last 2 minutes.
Yes, it's been a complete waste.
How unfruitful.
I was trying to at least put on a face though that made it seem like I was. Oh yeah, Kyle. Words you're saying.
The words.
The words are. They're really
registering right now.
No. Also,
I'm glad that you take my half the show so seriously.
Also, chat exploded at your slander against Pamela Anderson. They're really not. No one's accepting that.
It's because they're all watching her right now.
Okay.
On Baywatch, of course, right? Am I right?
Yes, classic. Don't hassle the Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Well, I wasn't even done. Okay.
We gotta move
all right,
on.
we got it. All right. Unity 5. That P.A.M.E.L.A. It's done. It's
Unity 5 engine.
Unity 5 engine.
Did anyone care what engine that game was based on?
I care.
I kind of did.
I care a lot.
No, it's good information.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided will support DirectX 12 from launch. From day one.
Ooh.
Not like implemented support later on. From day one.
Just right away.
This will also support TressFX Hair 3.0, which is an AMD technology. So again, just like the predecessor game, this is going to be backed by AMD.
Can you do DirectX 12 and TressFX? Because that's what I've been waiting for.
I don't think you can't. I can't see why not.
You should.
But hey, guess what, Paul?
What?
Good news for you guys like you and I.
Oh, yeah.
This game features an in-game benchmark.
Oh, I love in-game benchmarks.
This is going to be great for comparing DirectX 12 hardware versus DirectX 11 hardware.
I guess.
Pop in different graphics cards.
I guess I will be getting this game.
Yeah, I mean, you should probably pre-order it. Pre-orders do get it 4 days early on February 19th. If you don't pre-order it, it comes out February 23rd. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, cool.
Hey,
this is the game that should spawn me to go back and replay the entire, not replay, but actually play through the entire Deus Ex series. What the hell is wrong with you, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Did you dribbled beer down on your crotch?
It's okay. I'll suck it up later. I've gotten pretty good at sucking up. That
stain is in a very, very personal place right now.
Sucking up the moisture in this area has been one of my strong points. All right,
let me sop it up for you. Here's a towel.
No. Oops.
All right, no, we don't want any fanfic.
Help me. Okay. Star Wars Battlefront will have an open beta. Woo! I've been excited for this game.
Yeah.
I haven't really been excited for a Star Wars game since the Old Republic.
Yeah, which was kind of exciting at first, and then just
had no end game.
It just fell off so quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So hey, this looks pretty cool. You can do. I love that there's vehicle interactivity here. You can jump into a ship and shoot down some TIE fighters, or vice versa. Shoot down some X-wings. You can also do first-person shooter type stuff on the planet of Hoth,
yes.
which is what this beta is going to be focused around. There's going to be 2 different multiplayer modes, I believe, as well as a mission, a solo mission. You can go solo if you want to do a campaign mission, which you can also bring in a buddy from online or local co-op. And you could do like a split screen type of thing. I think once this beta hits, you and I should play for after party.
You want to play multiplayer or solo?
Both.
Can you play hand solo?
Oh, you stole my joke! Damn you, I hate you! You go to hell, you son of a gun. But hey, new stuff is going to be coming soon. Guys, let us know in chat if you're interested at all in this game. Maybe you guys can link up with Paul and I, and we can all get into a server together. And,
just go at it.
Just go at it. Fucking... Just freaking
no
tear
holds
shit
barred.
up. No holds barred. New mode, drop zone, plays like King of the Hill, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into it.
What?
It'll also have its own dedicated servers.
Oh, plays...
That's good.
You said plays like King of the Hill, and for some reason I immediately thought of the animated TV show. I was like, what? What? That makes no sense.
The intro to this game is actually like...
It's all fast.
Darth Vader is just like having a chugging contest with Luke.
There's like a neighbor you can't understand.
It's Jar Jar Binks.
Just typical.
He's always... Alright. Anyway, November 17th is the full release slated to arrive on that date. Go ahead and check it out. Pimp my PC!
Pimp my PC!
Hey, let's start off with Furba. Furba!
Wow, we're rocketing through this.
Furba
with a PH.
He's got an Athlon X4 760K. I've got an 860K in my Overkill Console Killer build. I am loving it. Great CPU choice. Good for budget builds. Good for gaming.
Makes great wall dressing too.
Ti. This is... I like how you've really paired, just on a hardware level, you've paired the CPU and the GPU quite nicely together. They're very balanced for a budget system. Not one is going to bottleneck the other for the most part. As far as your system goes, I do like the red and black color scheme you got going on there. There is some ketchup and mustard cables because you're using the budget CX power supply, which is understandable. You could opt for some, fairly cheap and affordable black sleeved extension cables to kind of clean up the motherboard area.
Yep.
The other thing I noticed is that you got a micro ATX board in this ATX tower. So you get a little bit of like motherboard dwarfism effect.
That's some free space in there.
A lot of empty space, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Honestly, if your desk or, God forbid, your floor area can support the extra footprint, I don't have a problem with this. I just think it looks a little bit more complete when the board matches the actual size of the case that it's intended for.
I want to say, Furba, and I'm going a little bit in the Matt Philly direction here, but since you did send us a wide shot of your desk setup here, this is an example. No one should have an excuse for keeping their computer on the floor, because this is a pretty tiny desk, and yet PC still right up there, up there, nice and visible. It's a showpiece. It's off the floor where it's not going to get dusty.
This is actually exactly like my old setup when I first built my Sandy Bridge system.
He's even got a PlayStation.
I had the same desk. I think I still have the same desk.
PS3 over there. I think. Being a lamp stand, which is what those are pretty. Those are actually pretty good for.
Yeah, but good system overall. Fix up the cable man. I wouldn't even talk about the system. What the hell? What am I talking about? Cable management.
I derailed Pimp My PC and I turned it into Pimp My Setup.
Hey, what the hell? We're copying that enough as it is.
I know.
We don't need to take that any further. But your CPU, your 8-pin EPS cable is just going straight across your motherboard. I'd like to see that really taken behind the motherboard tray, as well as just the whole grip of cables that's kind of right in the middle of your case. It literally is like just eating up a lot of the space in there. Oh, I can see in this picture, actually, this updated picture, you've gotten rid of some of that mess.
Yeah.
And you have routed your
like
8-pin.
The third picture there is definitely like an older one, because there's he doesn't have push-pull going on the CPU cooler either.
It's confusing when they give you timeline pictures, but they don't tell you that.
They need timestamps.
They need timestamps, damn it. As far as your CPU cooler goes, you might have mounted it that way vertically so the fans are pointed up, hopefully, towards the top of the case, which is fine if you don't have enough clearance with your memory on the right side, but if you do, I would prefer a right to left airflow pattern, just because it looks like you're just a little bit tight between your bottom fan on the CPU cooler and your video card on the PCB there. I feel like you might get a little bit more airflow coming in from that front fan if you just rotated your CPU cooler 90 degrees. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Rotation would help.
Might look a little nicer too, but overall very functional.
Thank you
for
for
the next one.
This is from Jordy.
Jordy
Brown.
Jordy in the house. Jordy sends in his system, some pictures of his keyboard, which that's not what we do here. Also a picture of his desk. Wrong show. I think he submitted it to the wrong show.
It's an imager link.
Imgur. Okay, here we go. We've got an MSI video card instead of a white case. Looking good.
Oh.
If you had to go with the color scheme here, I'd say white, black, and red. Wouldn't you, Paul?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the system inside, or wait.
I don't know what I'm. Oh, there we got to the system. I was getting into pimp my setup mode again.
Right. Those CX power supplies, very popular.
Yeah.
But again, with the cable sleeving on them, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the cables look hideous. Get extensions.
Yeah. And cable management looks
needs some work.
Honestly, what I would do is I think that 3.5-inch drive that's the bottom in that little drive rack right there that you got needs to be in the 5.25-inch bay, because you've already got what looks to be an optical drive up there. If you get a 5.25-inch to 3.5-inch adapter, you can stick that mechanical drive up in that bay and completely clear out the ugly red SATA cable that you've got there, as well as any...
He says there's a SanDisk Ultra 2 in here somewhere as well.
So maybe that's what's in the 5.25-inch.
I think the Ultra 2 might be right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I don't know. For cleaner cable management, I think moving those drives up into the 5.25-inch bay, since you can easily fit them there, would be a good idea, because I just think there's too much cable mess going on by your power supply and underneath your video card.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think there needs to be any cabling at the bottom of your case other than what's going from your power supply into that nearest grommet.
I agree. Yeah, cable management just needs kind of a complete redo here, I think. You just start from scratch with some of the other cable management philosophies in mind. The cables you got pulled across the top. There are some gaps here at the top. There is space behind this motherboard tray. You can pull a lot of this stuff back, like the SATA cable, for example. Oh, there's the SSD. It's direct. It's like right on top of the hard drive, right? Because that's what the red what the red SATA cable is plugged into.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, that cable, for example, could easily go straight back behind the motherboard tray, and then you'd be able to hide a little bit of it, and that would get some of that mess out. But yeah, some cable management. Your hardware is fine. Hardware looks great, and again, that's a great power supply. Just some extensions, and maybe remove that sticker on it and stuff. Get your color scheme going.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jordy.
Nice build.
It looks good though. Lego Zamak. I'm sorry if I'm...
Factory New Garbo.
Factory New Garbo is his Imgur name.
Okay.
He's got a...
Imager.
I like Imgur. Imgur.
I am Gur.
I am Gur. You know Gur's a character from a show. Invader Zim. There's a guy named Gur. I am Gur.
Well, that's probably what the website is then. It wouldn't be Imager.
I don't know about that. Anyway, thank you, Factory New Garbo, for sending this in. Your motherboard looks pretty out of date, and I guess it is because you state here clearly that this was originally a shitty HP pre-built.
Wow.
And the only thing left is a CPU and motherboard H61 platform. I know. My goodness. 8 gigs of RAM, pretty decent. CX 750 PSU, another CX freaking power supply. Holy Jesus. Hyper 212 Evo, great budget cooler. Asus DirectCU2 GTX 760, 1155 megahertz. All right.
Wait, CPU?
Obviously the H440 from NZXT.
An i5 3330.
Honestly, Paul, I think the motherboard is the weakest link here.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. I love this build though.
Oh, it's great.
I love this build. All right, so
it's fantastic. It's just the motherboard that is god awful.
So the reason I love this build is because the heck's wrong with this? He started with a pre-built. He started with some core components from a pre-built.
Yes.
Transferred it over. Like, it's a little backwards. It's like a lot of times you might take a pre-built and like, oh, I'll keep the case and the power supply because those are functional. I'm going to replace the motherboard and the core components. He went the other way and he's got this nice case. Like, he's ready for the core upgrade.
Right.
And that is what's next. I have to assume that's what's next because you've got some pretty decent extraneous not extraneous, but like an H440, like that's a really nice case.
Yeah.
Hyper 212 Evo is a perfectly adequate power or CPU cooler, which is doing him the solid right now of probably being a lot quieter than whatever cooler was on there before that came in the pre-builds. Granted, it's not helping him out at all as far as overclocking because he doesn't have an overclockable processor.
Right.
But I love this. I love that he's gotten it up to the point where he's ready to swap out the core components, but I'm sure it's been usable up till now.
Right.
I
think why I like this as well is because it kind of is representative of a journey, right?
Yes.
It is kind of more of a timeline portrayal of like this guy who used to have this really crappy system, and he kind of gathered all the good, decent working parts from it and implemented that into a newer system instead of just going into it fresh and being like, I'm just going to buy everything new. Everything's new. They're all virgin components. There's a lot of history in PCs like this, which I very much appreciate.
He's even working without a CPU bracket because HP doesn't have threaded mounting holes on their motherboards.
Wow.
Because you know when HP makes their pre-builts, they're totally planning for people to go in there and upgrade them.
Yeah.
No, but very nice little system there. Factory New Garbo, or I forget what your real name is, or your Twitter name, or whatever. But yeah, nice. Thanks for submitting it.
HP wasn't expecting you.
I'd like to see in like a month or two the next stage of that, and you know when you get that those core components swapped out.
Indeed. Next one comes from Aaron Fees. Thank you for sending this in. He built inside of an Antec Landboy. Now, this case actually came out very close to the time when I started working for Newegg before I knew anything about computers.
This is throwback. This bring back.
This is
memories.
way throwback. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about the Antec Landboy, because I don't even remember it since it wasn't really. It came out before I got into computers.
Landboy Air was a very interesting chassis. It was cool in a lot of ways. It fell short of, I think, everything it could have been. But basically the concept was that they have this frame, and the frame, like if you look at the yellow bits on the piece, that's the frame. It goes around the outside, but everything you can pretty much disassemble. And then apart from where the frame is, everywhere else you can pretty much put a fan. So like the build that I did with this back when we had them in at Newegg had something like 18 fans on it on like 3 of the 4 sides. So you can put like 2 on the front right here, you can put 3 up the side, you can put slim fans on the sides right here, you can put more on the top, you can even put some on the opposite side because this front area is kind of drive cages. It had a really unique kind of drive mounting system where the drives would hang from like rubber bands, which seemed like pretty cool for the time. I wouldn't want to do it like long term. That was my issue with it, was like I feel like these would dry out over time or something like that.
Yeah.
Are you posting the Antec Landboy Air build?
I did. Yeah, look at how young you look.
It's 215,000 views.
It was almost 5 years ago.
It's a great video.
Little Paul.
2011 was when that video was done.
Wow.
Anyway, all right. So Landboy Air throwback with an 8320, an R9 290, and 850 watt power supply, 8 gigs of memory. Cable management was definitely a bear in this. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of place to put much of anything. He's got an all-in-one cooler on there, which was a lot less popular at the time when these came out. When these first came out, they were a lot less common. Yeah. So nice that he's been able to work that in there.
And there is ventilation on the right side panel as well, I'm guessing, because it does have the radiator for the AIO mounted right against it. So I'm guessing there's ventilation all over. It's just, it's almost an open-air chassis if you didn't have fans mounted everywhere. I mean, it looks pretty damn open, but interesting case nonetheless.
Looks like a reference AMD cooler. Actually, Cell pointed out it's a reference AMD cooler on an R9 290. They weren't quite as bad in the 290s in my experience, but
I feel like maybe Antec was a bit too, like this concept was too ahead of Antec's time. And and maybe this is like what Cooler Master's doing now with their master case profile, like super. I guess maybe it's not as modular, but it kind of has that do it your way type of feel. Yeah. But interesting enough. Thank you very much, Aaron, for that colorful build. Now moving on to our next guy, which is Dan. Dan, what do you got? I'm gonna try to wrap these up pretty quick. Sorry guys, because we are dragging on here.
Here's Dan.
We've got a 5930K, hey, X99, H100i, X99 Deluxe motherboard, GTX 980 in the house, 840 Evo, and 2 3TB Seagates. Hope those last you longer than 5 minutes. RM 750 power supply.
What's wrong with 3 terabyte Seagates, Kyle?
Nothing. Not at all, Paul. I've heard that they're not very reliable, but honestly, I've had my 1 terabyte Barracuda for 4 years now, and it hasn't died yet. So
what can you do?
What can you do? Hey, you know what? I like this system. What can I say? It's pretty clean. Nitpicking here.
I like the space. I like the hard drives are spaced out. I like that you have an optical drive in there, but it's not like crazy standing out. Like, man, look at that old-looking optical drive.
Yeah, it kind of matches almost with the rest of the system.
Yeah. Wait, what was the CPU here?
5930K.
5930K. Yeah, nice, powerful system.
One thing I'll say is I like how you spaced 3 of those drives out, but at the same time, you could fit all 3 of them at that lower drive cage and just remove the top one completely. That way you won't have 2 slabs of metal in front of your front-facing fans there.
True.
And they'll be able to just kind of blow on through to your video card.
That would improve your airflow.
Absolutely.
And I hate to say this at all. I really hate to say this, and I would only say this during Pimp My PC. But you got a 4 by whatever gig kit of memory. I'm guessing it's 4 by 4, which is green PCB, and it's just a budget memory kit.
Yeah.
Which again, it's only because of this segment and what we talk about in this segment. Most of the time, I'd be like, that's great. That got you off the ground, and you got a quad channel kit.
We're not this vain in real life, I swear.
But in this segment, I have to say that those kind of stand out a bit, and something with some heat spreaders on it or something like that might look a little bit better. I feel bad. I
agree.
Okay.
You're such a dick, Paul.
I know, I'm a dick. All right.
He's trying his best. You gotta point it. You just gotta kick him while he's down.
It's your segment,
you
Kyle.
You gotta kick him while...
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Next up, we've got River.
Rivsfer.
On Imgur.
Imgur.
Another board that suffers from board dwarfism. You've got a micro ATX. I can tell because I can see a little bit of the motherboard beneath your video card, which from that angle I wouldn't be able to see if it was a mini ITX. Also a lot of extra space from
too wide for a mini.
Too wide, exactly, from the DRAM. But hey, you know what? This could use a little bit of work on the cable management side. I think having a smaller board than what your case is intended for makes cable management harder. Because cables need to travel now a further distance from the grommet to your motherboard connectors.
Yeah, they stand out more.
And they stand out a lot more. I mean, especially that HD audio cable that's just dragging all the way from left field to the right bottom grommet there is not happening for me.
That's all the way out in left field.
All the way out in left field. But the rest of the system looks good. I mean, you've got red dims. Congratulations, you match your video card. That is a huge step, and it looks really nice. Your power supply, you could probably remove that sticker, and it would just blend in all the more. But other than that, I think you maybe just need to downsize the case. Honestly, it doesn't look like you. I mean, clearly you've removed one of the drive cages because you don't need that much storage support, which means you can probably afford to get a smaller, like micro ATX case that can still fit those drives and just look a lot cleaner in the end.
Either a smaller case or a bigger motherboard. Either one will work. All right. But thanks, Rivster, for sending that one in.
Yep.
Finally, we have... Who is this?
Sean.
I don't know who this is. Sean? This is Sean.
Sean.
Silverstone chassis.
Yeah. It's a
flipped Mobo.
TJ08.
It's kind of fun.
TJ08E.
We have some sleeved power supply cables.
Yes, we do.
We have what looks like pretty solid cable management. Is this the only image we have? One image?
Yes.
Single image?
Yes.
An EVGA graphics card. That's a GTX 780, which this could be a first.
What's that?
On Pimp My PC.
What is that?
That's some inverse droopage right there.
It is some inverse droopage.
We got inverse droopage.
This case is known for that.
The case is known for the
known for the inverse droopage.
For the inverse droopage.
One of its highlights or shortcomings, I should say. Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. I mean, unless you got something, you took some kind of foreign object and stuck it under the left side of your video card to make sure that it was propped up, you know, completely parallel to your flooring or whatever, your desk. But apart from that, I think that it looks like you've got a Griffin motherboard in there. I can see some thermal armor behind. I don't think you mentioned all the oh yeah, you did, but they're really tiny. I'm not going to read it. As far as aesthetics go, I think the fans You've got a really nice, it looks like a Gentle Typhoon in the back. Maybe get another one of those for the heatsink, just so that they match.
Griffin Z87.
Griffin Z87, I knew it was a Griffin board. I think the fans matching would make it look a little nicer. Also, I know this case, I've built a system in one of these cases before, and great build. I love the layout and everything. Even the inverse doesn't bother me, I actually support it, but there's no side panel window, and I think this is a really clean looking build, and to show off the work that you've done in terms of your cable management, as well as, you know, sleeving the cables. I mean, obviously those are probably, you know, aftermarket third-party ones that you bought, but still, it looks really nice, and you'd want to be able to show that off. So maybe you could do a window mod. And I'm really stretching here because this already looks like a pretty decent system to me.
Yeah.
And so if I'm really nitpicking, make a window mod for it. Paul does a really good video on his window mod that he did for his Define R5.
Well, thank you, Kyle.
Yes, of course. So I think that would really bring a little bit more personality to this thing, and so that people, you know, they're just walking into your room, coming by, can see it, look in, and be like, wow, that's a really nice job, and throw some LEDs in there. That's it.
I think that's a great build.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
All right, I'm going to blaze through this news because I'm already an hour deep. I really over-prepared for this episode, I guess, guys. But hey.
I was saying to Kyle earlier, like it was weird, we flip-flopped, because last week I had just so many links on my side of the show. I had links to just for days.
Right.
And then today I was like, Kyle, you have lots of links. He's got lots of content. That's all right.
Caring, baby.
It's been coming so fast.
Caring.
When we get to my half of the show, it's gonna be slow and easy.
We're gonna be in a jacuzzi.
It's gonna be slow and easy.
The time you were in a jacuzzi with Josh.
I like having his mic said. It's gonna be slow and easy. Oh yeah.
Hey, this is Paul. Am I going to room?
Don't touch it.
Sorry.
If when you touch it, it makes noise.
Instantly turns to crap. All right, so this first news article that I've got, we are in news, by the way. We're talking about tech news, generic news. I only have 2 articles. I butchered the last one just because.
You did? I saw
I cut
3.
the last one.
You
I cut the last one
oh.
because we're just short on time.
Right.
Apple is slated to make a self-driving electric vehicle, Paul.
That's exciting.
It's like they're making like Tesla S's, but they're self-driving. It's crazy.
I hope it doesn't rely on Apple Maps.
Damn it! You're stealing my jokes.
Really?
Save all your blasphemy on Apple for the end, please.
When I got the rapier wit coming in, you know, I gotta
I
let it fly.
All right. But look, just hear me out here, all right? Committed project that will launch in 2019. You can probably start to see some models that are available for purchase in a few years from now. Apple has hired a number of key automotive engineers and executives, including people from Tesla Motors. All right,
and Tim Cook. There's Tim Cook.
They've held meetings with California DMV, marking this the first time Apple employees had to wait in line for hours instead of their customers. I thought of that one all on my own.
That was good.
And here are some problems that I foresee with the first generation of this Apple electronic vehicle. All right? The first one, which you already mentioned, Paul, thank you, stealing my thunder, is the built-in navigation system will use Apple Maps, of course.
Did not you know you had prepared remarks about this?
Of course I did, Paul. That's how I roll.
Right. What else?
Also, the automotive version of their Lightning charging cable will be sold separately and cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Of course.
At least $2,000.
We all saw that coming. The slightly improved S model of this car will release 3 months later after the original. So you might want to hold off on that initial purchase. Resist the impulse buy. Also, Apple will file a patent lawsuit against Tesla for stealing their invention of the wheel.
Wah, wah.
Thank you. Thank you for the special effects. I feel like I should be on the Conan show.
Another one. You read that last one. You don't let.
And lastly, severely overpriced, given the hardware specs. Thank you, Paul.
That was the best.
All right.
Best news.
That's my favorite article that I've ever done on this show. Next up, Snowden. Edward Snowden. Hey, he's the guy. He's blaming.
What's up, Ed?
We've got him right here.
Long time friend of the show, Ed.
Didn't know you had Google Chat.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay.
He's blaming encryption. He's like, hey, encryption, stop ruining our chance at contacting aliens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He thinks that encryption is getting so good that it's going to be our cock-blocking asset, cock-blocking downfall to actually contacting extraterrestrial life. All right. During his chat with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who does a weekly podcast called Star Talk, he said that really good encryption isn't recognizable as encryption at all. If aliens picked it up, they'd disregard it as random noise, and they'd just carry on doing their own alien thing. He said that it would be indistinguishable to us, even, from cosmic microwave background radiation. So,
Yes.
And this is interesting because in previous years, Edward Snowden has been a huge proponent and advocate of good encryption, and now he's kind of backpedaling a little bit. So if this article tells us anything, it's that clearly Snowden has grown tired of Russia and is now seeking asylum in distant alien planets.
I read this story.
That's what that
I
means.
read this story earlier this week.
Did you?
This story has a misleading title, and I think he ran with it. He's not talking about our encryption. Well, he's talking about encryption in general.
Yes.
What he's saying is that any civilization that would theoretically, like us, get to the point where they could store their information as data would only have a very, very small window wherein that data was not encrypted. Granted, that might be a little bit of a paranoid outlook, but it's Edward Snowden. And that, what he's saying is that encryption, like if you took us 50 or 100 years in the future, if we look at at how encryption works and how encryption should work, if we value privacy and that kind of thing, it should almost just be like something that just happens and you don't even think about it to that extent. And that an alien civilization, if they had advanced to the point where they could communicate with us, for example, they would have gotten past the point we were at, where they might have a little window where stuff wasn't encrypted, it was just wide open and broadcast. After that, everything's locked down, which meant that any data we were receiving from an alien civilization would just seem like a bunch of garbled gibberish because it's encrypted. And that's what encryption is supposed to do. It's supposed to make it look like nonsense to the point where you wouldn't even try to decrypt it because it looks like just nonsense. It's like, just background noise or whatever.
Disregard it completely.
So, yeah. So what Edward's saying here is that the reason we might not have heard from alien civilizations isn't because we have none of their beams of information that happen across our paths. It's just when it does, it's completely indecipherable.
Right.
I can't believe I said the word indecipherable this late in the show. Very proud of myself.
And we're only halfway through it.
But
that's pretty much going to conclude it for this half of the show, guys. Stay tuned for Paul's half of the show, which is going to be starting in a minute or two. We're going to take a really short break. I'm going to go to the bathroom. We're going to come back, refill our beers, and hey, it's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching.
We forgot an important thing. We're going to do it right now.
Yes, we did.
Two important things.
Yes. How do we forget that?
I don't know.
It was on the show doc.
But
we have a very, very lovely sponsor for today's show. It's going to be the Gigabyte bricks. Again, the ever so lovely Gigabyte. They actually, I just picked this up on my way to your house, Paul.
You did.
It is brand spanking new.
Bricks.
And it is epic. Okay? Okay? You want a mini PC? You don't even know what a mini PC is until you open up one of these bad boys right here. This is a Gigabyte brick. It's got a Core i5 Intel processor. Oh my goodness.
Let's give him a closer look,
feel the
Cal.
box?
Should we give him a closer look?
Wait for it to drop and make the bass drop. Right there. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be the cameraman on this, Paul. You're gonna go ahead. It's just like the old Newegg days,
Here it comes.
where I would film you and you would film some stuff,
Right.
and you talk about some crap.
Now we need to point out very specifically that Gigabyte has a new review program. The new review program is accessible via the website that's listed right here, which is review.gigabyte.us. You could win a frickin' bricks. All Gigabyte wants you to do is, if you get one of their products, give a little review on that nonsense, and then you can submit it here, and you can be entered to win. Review, submit, win. It's a simple 3-step process. Okay.
I don't understand.
We're gonna do it. No, Kyle, I just explained it very simply. Let's go ahead and unbox this here. We got the bricks itself, of course. We have some packaging material also inside. The nice thing about a bricks being an entire computer is that you can take something like this right here, which is a VIII mount, and you can mount that bricks to the back of like a monitor and get yourself. It's like making your own all-in-one. It's fantabulous. All right, we have a software disk right there.
I love that coaster. I love how Gigabyte's throwing in coasters now.
We have your power brick there, and thank God this is a tiny little power brick. Yeah. It's not like when you get a laptop, you're like, this is a gaming laptop, which means the laptop might be reasonably sized, but the brick that goes with the laptop is like the size of your face or your head, or your face and your head combined together. This is just the rest of the thing with the laptop. Right, that's just for power. Okay, let's give a quick look at this bricks here before we move on to the second half of the show. I'm going to peel this off. Oh, so sexy. Alright, so a Bricks, guys, it's basically a mini PC. Gigabyte makes a huge variety of these, and whether you're looking for something to just be like a mom and pop system, like a little web browsing system, something like that, you want to replace their old desktop. If you have if your parents have a desktop from like 2006, replace it with this and they will be absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
As you might be able to see, it has a pretty full range of I/O on the back, although we're using auto mode on our webcam, so you might not be able to see it all. But you got HDMI, you also have a display port. This particular one has a full-size Ethernet jack as well as a couple of USB 3.0 slots. Kensington lock because it's a small item and you don't want somebody to try to abscond with it. What's with my vocabulary today? I don't know, I'm pulling these words out. There's a look at the back. And you can actually pop this open, and depending on the model you get, there is a bit of upgradability inside too. Again, there's thicker ones that have GPUs inside. There's smaller ones that, like this, that are, they're super small. But they're just nice, tiny little systems, and it's a great way to work your way around somebody who's really getting tired of like their old, archaic, outdated desktop or something like that.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the Bricks.
Core i5 is good times. It's a good processor. So I believe it's Broadwell as well, but it's like a 55.
This one's got a Broadwell?
50? Let me see.
Did you put information?
I'm gonna look at the box right here. It's a i5 5200. So quad core. Good stuff. And a lot of that upgradability that Paul was talking about earlier is mostly in terms of like the M.SATA drive that you can swap in there, or the SO-DIMMs if you want to do like up to 32 gigs of memory on this thing. If you're doing some, I don't know, some light video editing or something like that, you can do that. So
fabulous.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Gigabyte, for sponsoring our episode.
Thank you.
We
so
love
much.
you. We love you, and I'm sad that this is a loaner because I could probably find a use for this. But I'm gonna have to give it back to you.
You could mount it to the wall like your other little tiny computer.
Mount it to my wall. You making fun of me?
No, I'm not in a position.
Busting my balls?
If we look slightly to the left, we'll see that I also
have
computers that are not being used to their full potential. All right, Johnsons. We got to do some Johnsons here before we exit.
We do.
That was the other thing I was going to say. We need.
Wait,
dismiss. I dismiss you. I dismiss you, sir. All right. I'm going to throw out 4 Johnsons right now. Back to back to back to back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Noel, Andrew, Keon, and Michael.
Okay.
I have many Johnsons.
Nice.
At least a Johnson and a half for each of you. Thank you so much.
Did you say Andrew and a Keon?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Double Johnson for both of them.
Double Johnsons.
Andrew and Keon, my mans.
You guys are gonna be.
It doesn't sound as good when
you guys are gonna be getting a bit of a shit. You'll get your stuff.
Bit of a shit.
No, that was a part of a word, not the word you're about to say. You'll be getting all your stuff together from both of our stores, and you'll be getting a little bit of a shipping discount as well. So thank you so much, guys, for your orders, for your support. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Richard. Thank you for picking up a classic CPU cooler shirt. I really do appreciate it, as well as Josh, and I believe we've got one more, Christopher. And then the other 2 were those Double Johnsons that I mentioned earlier.
Fabulous.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And you'll be able to pick up more merchandise in the second half of the show if you wanted to induce another Johnson from either Paul or I. But that's going to conclude it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't go anywhere, though, if you're watching us live, because we are going to start part 2 very soon on Paul's half of the show. So, see you in a bit.
All right. I'm going to hit the button over here, and that's going to end the show. Now I don't want to. I want you to keep doing that.